She is currently responsible for the animal feeding and feed safety program, as well as for animal welfare programs. Daniela is a coordinator of the FAO Sustainable Livestock Technical Network currently. Okay, so stage is yours, and please welcome her with your big hands.
Thank you very much for the nice introduction, and of course, thank you very much to the government of the Republic of Korea for having invited me and giving this opportunity not only to share with you some information of what the FAO program of work, but also to learn and to hear from your interesting experiences. And I've also been here the last time during the Codex Task Force on AMR, hosted by the government of Korea, and I must applaud the government for its continued commitment of being a leader at the international level and for sharing information and experiences on AMR, the containment of AMR, and this conference is a proof of that, but also for supporting other countries with capacity development work, as we will hear later on, and also tomorrow from my colleague Jorge Pinto. So the strong commitment of the government at the international level in this sector. And now I would like to share with you a little bit of information on why it's important to address the containment of antimicrobial resistance in the animal production sector. And we have heard from the introductory speeches and also from the previous speakers how important it is to address this important threat, the one of the development of antimicrobial resistance. So I'm not going to go about that again, but I would like to point out how the animal production sector contributes to it through a massive use of antimicrobials. So we have several data that have been also shown before in the course of the day. But what is, it could be somewhat worrying is the animal production is definitely increasing at global level. We have seen very important growth in the last decades, especially in the so-called transition or emerging or low and middle income countries, so very much in Latin America and in Asia, in countries like China and India. So that growth is expecting to continue in the coming decades, even though there may be less meaningful, with less meaningful number, but is still expected to increase by 15% by 2040. And again, you can see in the graph the difference. Not all products of animal of origin are going to growth in the same way. So the biggest growth is still expected in the poultry sector, and so that you will see there the difference. Same growth is also in the dairy and the egg production. So animal source food is expected to increase. Here we have also some other data that are looking at the meat. The global meat output, again, expected to increase, and that's where we see the differences, not only by species, but also by geographical region. So you can, and I can appreciate that maybe it's not easy to read the slide, but you have your handouts, so you can have a little bit more information there, and these data are drawn from FAO statistics. FAO has a large project, a large program called FAOStat, where all government of its 190-something, 96 members are providing statistics on a yearly basis. So what is important is that the animal production sector is growing, and with that, the use of antimicrobials to tackle not only the health, but also the growth of animals, it's something that has to be considered, is something that is deserving attention. Now we have to see, we have different data that have been produced. So some data are predicting a 25% increase by 2040. The data I'm presenting here are mainly drawn by papers produced from Van Buckel and other authors. So these are the data that are predicting the global trend in increase of antimicrobials in the animal production sector. And again, these are the geographical dimension, so that is happening mainly in 2 areas of the world, Latin America, Brazil mainly, and also China, with a little bit of growth in other countries. At the same time, so again, the geographical dimension, at the same time, we have other data produced by an early survey that the World Organization for Animal Health is producing, and they're showing different data. So I'm showing both of them just to inform you that there is not one unanimous voice on that, so it's worth to look at the matter in a wider perspective. So the data from the World Organization for Animal Health are telling us, that at this time, this is 2021, 88,000 or almost 89,000 tons of active ingredients were used in the animal production sector, mainly ruminants, poultry, and pigs. Interesting data that from these early surveys are showing that there's been a reduction in 20% between in the last years that the survey was doing the estimate, so between 2016 and 18. So the decrease has been concentrated mainly in the Americas, in Europe, and in Asia and Pacific, where we have 9, 6, and 0.7 respectively degrees. But what is worrying that there is 117, in the same period, there is 179 increase in African countries. So obviously, where action plans for the containment of AMR have been developed and applied, we have already seen a difference and decrease in antimicrobial use and also antimicrobial resistance. The good news is in those countries where already for several years, like in the Netherlands, we have seen a decrease in the use of antimicrobial use. There's been a decrease in antimicrobial resistance. And that's what is prompting us, giving us some optimism, and is motivating us in decreasing the use of antimicrobials, because that translates directly in lowering antimicrobial resistance. However, a lot still needs to be done to decrease the use of antimicrobials in those countries where it's still increasing. So that's also some somehow good news, that 70% of the countries reporting to the World Organization for Animal Health are showing that the antimicrobials are not used as growth promoters anymore, but in still many countries, so 36 are the ones that are reporting, is still used. And we have also to say that even though many countries by law are forbidding or phasing out the use of antimicrobial growth promoters, at implementation level is still not the case. So they're still very much used, even where they are legally banned. So this slide gives you a little bit of information on how much antimicrobials are used in animal production, and what is also worried that almost 22% of those are those of highest priority for humans, and 40% are critically important for humans. So again, these are the ones that we should mainly address when we try to reduce the use in animal production, and especially for growth promotion. Another interesting aspect, because in the previous slides you were discussing about the importance of the disposal of antimicrobials which are not used. But another important aspect is that roughly, I mean, again, there are very different data on that, but I mean, many of those papers agree that roughly 80% of antimicrobials which are given to animals are excreted in the environment and metabolized. So it means that they're contaminating the soil, water, and therefore plant production, crop production, or they are getting into the food chain, and so reaching the human beings. So again, that represents a very important source of potential antimicrobial resistance that needs to be tackled. So as I think most of you know, antimicrobials in animal production are used for different purposes, and so not only to treat sick animals or individual sick animals, but also very often to prevent diseases, so they're treated more largely at herd level, or, as we were saying, in many countries are still legally or in any case are used to promote the growth of the animals or their product. So those are the antimicrobials. I think maybe that especially when medically human important antimicrobials are used, those are the ones that need to be tackled, very much reduced or banned or phased out altogether whenever possible. But to do that, so as we were saying, antimicrobial resistance is a global threat. It has been said also in the course of the morning, it deserves joint action at global level. It deserves or it needs different stakeholders to work together, so private and public sector together, intergovernmental organization and so on, and especially tackling the use of medically important antimicrobials is something that needs urgent action. But the important news is that there are some positive news in all that. A lot of times antimicrobials, and especially antimicrobial growth promoters, are used to cover up for poor management, husbandry management. So for poor hygiene, low animal welfare, not using the best adapted genetical breeds, not having enough biosecurity and safety in place. So addressing all those aspects, addressing with good practices, the genetic makeup, using the adapted breeds to certain diseases, increasing biosecurity, increasing feed safety, increasing the welfare of the animals, so increasing the hygiene, so overall a better management, husbandry level, could help decreasing the use of antimicrobials and especially the growth promoters, and at the same time contributing to other benefits, as was mentioned before, and that's maybe where we have more of a win-win. We can show that not only we will address antimicrobial resistance, but we will contribute to overall health of the animals, the economic sustainability, human health, because in many cases we're talking about zoonosis, so diseases that could be transmitted from the animals to human beings, the welfare of the animals, the quality of the product. So again, the many associated benefits to improving the overall management of farm and therefore decreasing the use of antimicrobials. The other good news is that through animal nutrition and good feeding practices, we could not only improve livestock productivities, but also making animals healthier, more resilient, increasing gut health, and increasing the overall health of the animals and their productivities, the feed efficiencies. Therefore, lowering the need to use antimicrobials either as growth promoters or for the treatment and prevention of diseases. There are a whole range of practices, we will look at them in a while, that could enable the genetic potential of the animals to express at its best, therefore increasing the efficiency of productivities, increasing the growth, and support the critical functions required by healthy gastrointestinal tract. Therefore, increasing the host defenses of the animals, and again, allowing a lower use of antimicrobials, especially the growth promoters. So again, this slide shows a little bit of all the different practices, all the different aspects that could be addressed to decrease the use of antimicrobials. So looking at nutrition, but also the use of vaccine, increasing biosecurity, better adapted breeds, and so on. So all of those has to be taken into account. Again, I was saying that there is a huge variety of practices that could be feeding practices, animal nutrition practices that could be adopted to decrease the use of antimicrobials and also replacing the use of antimicrobial growth promoters if we want so. So we're starting by increasing feed safety, so reducing the contaminants with microbiological agent hazard in feed, but also addressing the anti-nutritional factors, ensuring the water is of a good quality, increasing feed quality, so making sure that the feed we give to these animals provide to their reproductive, physiological, and productive needs, and overall ensuring the gut health. So what are these practices? So there is a whole range of functional feed ingredients or additives that could be used. There is also a whole range of processing practices that could be used to make feed more efficient, more digestible, and therefore making it allowing more important growth of the animals, again, allowing not to use antimicrobial growth promoters to have that growth. FAO has been working at mainly producing and disseminating and sharing technical scientific information, so giving the opportunity to know in practical terms what needs to be done. So we have a publication that have tackling these matters, but we also have been looking at the policy aspect. So we have produced material to inform countries which kind of policies, which kind of legislation should be in place to allow a better knowledge and the better use of that scientific and technical information available, so to increase the use of those practices. We have organized an expert meeting, expert consultation last year, and we are producing the report of all range of experts from different areas of the world on different topics, providing information on what we know on how to decrease the use of antimicrobials, again, especially growth promoters, through better animal nutrition and feeding practices. All those documents are available online, so it's going to be easy for you to find them on the FAO website if you want. Especially the FAO report, the FAO meeting, expert meeting of last year, came to the conclusion that we have enough insight into animal nutrition physiology to know how to optimize nutrition, feed utilization, and therefore leading to resilience of animals to stressors and diseases. So animals, first of all, should receive a balanced diet, good, appropriate for their needs, which is safe. This diet could contain functional feed ingredients and additives that enhance the gut health and therefore make animals more resilient and more productive. There is a whole range, as I was saying, of different processing that make the diet more digestible, but there is also a whole range of feed additives that could be used. The special attention should be used in certain more stressful lifetime of the animals. So, for instance, the weaning, the changing of location, and so on. The application of precise feeding program is also very important because that allows us to give to the animals whatever is needed in the best possible way. And at that scope, a total nutritional approach has to be put in practice that look at the different stages of the animals, as I was saying, the ones that could be more stressful for the animal, the early phases of life, the transition phases, like weaning, for instance, the different production stages and so on. It looks at the feed processing technologies, but also at the ingredients and additives, making sure that they are safe, of adequate nutritional value, and also sustainable in a way. So that the report of the expert meeting is providing a whole list of different feed additives, for instance, that could also be added to the feed diet to make the diet itself healthier and to improve the gut health and efficiency or production, and we go from the antimicrobial peptide, the different probiotic, prebiotics, postbiotic, and so on, macroalgae, organic acid, clay minerals, enzyme. I'm not going to go through all the benefit and how they work and how they should be used. But if you're interested, again, all the information is in FAO publications, which are available online. A particular interest in the plant-derived products, and that's the so-called phytogenics, especially because in this region of the world, there's been a huge proliferation of research or production of those products, which are extremely interesting, especially because they're available at relatively low cost in many low and middle income countries. So they're more readily available to even small and medium enterprises and stakeholders. So again, available locally and not and at low cost. So there could be a very interesting alternative to the use of antimicrobials, especially the growth promoters. It's always very important to have enough studies and to have enough assessment that show that are safe for the animals, that don't present any anti-nutritional factors, and also they're effective as effective as they claim. So for instance, at country level, it's important to have adequate legislation, adequate risk assessment, to make sure that the farmers are going to have a product that is really doing what it claims to be. We are getting also all that information about good practices, about what is available and so on. At FAO, we have developed a web-based repository of all these different good practices, again, to make it available, that information wherever is needed. So we look at the different production system, we look at the different country of origin, different languages and so on. So that repository is available online. We're always looking for new information, especially from different areas of the world in different languages. So if yourself have produced any of that material, please get in contact with us. We will be very happy to hear about that. We will be happy to hear about success stories and to share them. So please send to us. And then I will refer to the work that has been done by Codex Alimentarius, again, with the help of the government of Korea, the task force that is addressing some of these aspects. Also to the support provided by the Korean government in supporting countries in the implementation of those practices. You are going to hear about that tomorrow morning by my colleague, Giorgio Pinto, so I'm not going to provide that information now, but just to let you know that more is coming for you tomorrow, so keep tuned. And also you will hear about another FAO initiative to reduce the need to use antimicrobials in agri-food systems. It was mentioned again this morning by Tanawa Tenzin. You will hear again in the presentation by Giorgio Pinto, but just to tell you that all the information I just presented is going to be transferred at country level through FAO effort and its partners, so you will hear more about that tomorrow. Again, this is what Renofarm is addressing, and if you need more information, you can get in contact with me. We have mailing lists where we disseminate information about new publication, new events, and so on, but also you can have a look at the FAO website where all our information is posted. And with that one, thank you very much for your attention. Kamsahamnida.